The wound is where the warrior awakens. Strength is not the absence of pain, it's your ability to alchemize it. There is a silent wound carried by many men today, not always seen but deeply felt. A wound that shows up as anger, isolation, shame, burnout. But within that pain lies the path to power, clarity and purpose. This is the journey of healing the masculine wound. What is the masculine wound? Let's talk about that in this video. Of course, within this channel I cover different kind of topics around spirituality, men's mental health, masculinity, shamanism, animism and paganism, which is of course a path that we can dedicate ourselves towards our inner self. Because our external world is of course always a reflection of our internal world. So above, so below, so within, so without. So now let's discuss about this topic. Healing the masculine wound. The path to inner strength. And why right now, today. Not only today, but the statistics doesn't lie. Every 30 minutes globally a man is tired of living his life and decides to step out of it. And perhaps leaving misery behind. Loved ones who are missing out a father, a wife missing out her husband. And this is happening because men can't find the way back home. The masculine wound is the disconnection from the true masculine essence, caused by generations of emotional suppression, emotional abuse or neglect. Also think about generations of traumatization from war or even colonization, the absence of initiations and ancestral disempowerment. We were told, don't cry, be strong, provide but never feel. This leaves many men locked in a shadow state, either emotional numb or explosively reactive. So what are some of these symptoms of this so-called masculine wound? Think about the stress, the anxiety or the disassociation from reality, always living somewhat in a dream state somewhere else but never really fully here, presence and connected with our own essence. Also the feeling of chronic fatigue and burnout or bore out. Everything we do, it seems to give us nothing more than boredom. Or the constant need to prove ourselves. Great example, think about the whole kind of like red pill hyper masculinity kind of movement, which is an answer of course towards maybe modern day feminism, where men feel like somewhat disempowered by all inclusivity kind of programs that we see on a political level integrated within society, that even young boys can somewhat feel like they are part of the 80% of men that are invisible, young men that struggle with dating because over 80% of women, 90% of women, they only want to date a 20% or a 10% hyper masculine kind of man. And then they find the answer in the hyper masculinity, alpha masculinity, red pill kind of content. And for sure there might be levels of truth in that, in the manosphere kind of space, but also it's not always that very healthy either, because this is of course also part of societal conditioning and programming. And therefore we can feel the need and the push and the expectations to constantly prove ourselves, to prove our worth through accomplishments. This is very, very relevant for young men in their 20s as well. I also had to go through this period to realize this is not really truly the full answer either, because that can also left us feel depleted, empty, neglected, burned out, and still missing out this kind of fulfillment within our soul and spirit. Another thing is this constant rage and anger, that we carry so much pain within our soul, essence, spirit, that we want to make sure that others around us are also going to feel that pain that we had to go through and still go through, so we can somewhat feel understood by casting pain upon others. So be in a very reactive state of being, having a slightly impulse or a reaction internally, and we light up with enrage and uncontrollable emotions of frustration. Another very big one is connecting in relationships, both with other men as friendships, in brotherhood, having healthy friends. A lot of men, they struggle with social connections, but of course also intimate romantic relationships. A lot of relationships these days are very shallow, and if the woman gets too close, they block her away because they don't want to show their vulnerability for some reason or another. And when it gets a little bit difficult, people pull away and they don't want to commit to anything at all, just a very shallow kind of relationships that does not really lead to any kind of long-lasting fulfillment, satisfaction, bonding, and having true, authentic, intimate relationships that is not just based on short-term chemistry, but really built upon connection. And then of course this never-ending void that something is missing. You always feel like you are not good enough. There is not enough. There's always a lack. Something is still missing. You keep chasing something externally, trying to follow up that void, because you can't deal with the feeling of emptiness, the numbness that you have to go through, and all the other kind of layers of emotions that we still carry within our mind, body, soul and spirit. So what exactly could be the path to strength and healing the masculine wound? I'm not going to say one path is the all answer you ever need to look for, because every soul has a different kind of path, different kind of journey. So there's never ending one single truth whatsoever. If that will be the case, you really need to start questioning who is preaching that kind of singular truth that only exists in the whole universe, and what are their agendas as well. So yeah, I'm just saying, I'm not going to name anything what we have here in this world, but I'm sure you can come up with some answers for yourself. Healing the masculine wound means reclaiming your inner warrior. Think about the king, the warrior, the magician and the lover. It is that balance of divine masculine energy, but also the elder and the mystic that continue to live within you, that exist within you. Not through force, but through truth, embodiment and rituals. So, for example, think about the Celtic, Nordic and Germanic forms of shamanism, which of course has been completely wiped out from the history books, because of course we had forces in our world that did everything within their power to displace people from spiritual truth they were living, being connected with the nature, the land, their cultural and spiritual heritage. So within this, of course, we can work with divination tools such as the runes, as these can provide insights within our soul's journey as a reflection of what we are going through right now. What are some of these hidden blocks, challenges, invitations that can lead us further towards the path of initiation, awakening deeper parts of our own essence. But also think about shamanic healing journeys. So what I like to do is, when I do rune readings, I have, let's say, 4 different kind of symbols every rune contains a whole message that holds very powerful energy as well. It contains a spirit, an essence as well. And we use these symbols to really to journal, is to take a journey within our own subconscious mind to bring up part of these archetypical parts of our consciousness, and then we can go through a healing process, but also through an integration process. So that's a whole other aspect. So through runes we can go further into a deep shamanic healing journeys. I have posted many kind of examples here on this channel as well, where I do both a rune reading and then I take the energy of the runes and convert them into a shamanic healing journey. So the last reading that I did, I also converted that in a very powerful deep shamanic healing journey, where we dive deep into our own shadow aspect, to dive within that void that exists within us, that can cause any kind of blocks, communication blocks, creative blocks, the list goes on and on and on. And then of course we also connect with something that can put us more onto a path of initiation and to awaken a deeper truth that also exists within us. But also think about connecting with power animals or spirit animals like the wolf and the bear. Think about these amazing shamanic rituals that were done by shamans that practice cider in Norse spirituality, that was being used for the warriors, for the Vikings, to eliminate their fears so they could go and conquer and get out on the battlefield and eliminate simply their opponents by bringing in the essence, the spirit of these animals like a wolf or a bear, and they will go completely out into rage. Now of course we don't have to fight on battlefields anymore and have to go out with our axes, spears and all the kind of weapons. The battlefield that we are having is that exists here in the mind and our soul and spirit. Therefore we are here on the path of the spiritual warrior. But these rituals of course can be used to connect with the warrior essence, to fight and face these shadows that continue to live through us. Is to connect with these layers of frustration and anger and rage, because all underneath that there can be levels of sadness, and when we go through that we feel it, we can experience that, we can embrace it and heal it by releasing it. Okay, and how more we release, how more we go through the shadow, how more of the light we can bring into our own essence, because the light can only enter where it hurts the most. So therefore we must go and embrace that pain without the fear of feeling vulnerable or weak or whatever you want to label it. And of course we can continue within this beautiful practice of shamanism and animism and paganism, is to continue to do rituals, to work with different kind of divine archetypes, bring in multiple spirits to really to continue to empower ourselves on a personal spiritual level, but it can also of course further influence our relationships, work, career, business, purpose. I guess this is also a very important one. Some are not here just to chase the money, but they are here to connect with their vision and their purpose and their mission to be of service to mankind, to build that holistic health, spiritual healing business, for example, which is not just about the money, but is here about service. But also a very, very important aspect of this is as well, maybe you feel the calling of connecting with the spirit animal, the power animal of the wolf, which has incredible amounts of qualities of strength, but a weakness of the wolf is also that of mistrust towards others, and therefore we withdraw within our solitude, and within our solitude that's not always where we continue to thrive, and sometimes we must overcome that and move from the lone wolf into a pack of wolves, where we build higher levels of trust within a like-minded brotherhood who are here about their soul's journey. That's why I've created the Wolf Pack, which is all about our soul's journey, our holistic health, wellness, fitness, spirituality, purpose, business, entrepreneurship, to continue to improve our life as healthy masculine men, because our woman needs healthy masculine men who are here, who can open up their sensitivity to provide containment. And that's exactly what a lot of women are also are looking for in a lot of men. So where to take it from here? Well, first of all, you gotta go and make a decision. Like, if you feel called to walk this path together with me, with us, then of course there are always possibilities to book like one-on-one sessions, like rune reading or a shamanic healing journey. Also the possibility to actually extend your commitments towards your personal transformational journey. And then the best way to do this is to really upgrade your whole personal identity, which you can do into a 90-day personal identity shift or transformational journey. But of course you can also join our soul tribe for men, the Wolf Pack. Okay, so I will leave all links down below, and if you have any further questions, please let me know. Simply drop a comment below, like, subscribe, and I look forward to see you on one of my next videos, and of course also on one of our live calls, events, and much more. All right, Jean-Paul here. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you next time. Take care for now.